ninth episode of Season 6 of Malory Towers is a poignant exploration of friendship, change, and growing up, skillfully unfolding against the charming and rules-bound world of an all-girls boarding school in post-war Britain. With the summer holidays rapidly approaching, emotions are high as the girls prepare for their time apart. But for some, the changes ahead are greater than just a short trip home. This episode especially shines a spotlight on the relationship between Josephine, Jo, and Celeste, capturing both the comfort and the inevitable heartache of close friendships during transitional moments, while simultaneously weaving in a classic Malory Towers subplot of mystery and mischief. This time, the case of the missing time capsule. From the very beginning, the atmosphere is tinged with farewells. The students are abuzz with anticipation for the coming holidays, dividing into those with exciting plans and those staying behind at school. Jo, ever the optimist and ringleader, proposes that Celeste join her and her father for the holidays if she has no plans, an offer warmly received and brightly accepted. Their plans to ride horses and enjoy each other's company are bubbling with excitement, presented with the innocent sincerity that captures the heart of Enid Blyton's original characters. The girls exchange in both English and French, with Celeste warmly declaring Jo her best friend, ma Myler Copine, speaks to the intimacy and cross-cultural appreciation typical at Malory Towers, where students from different backgrounds come together and form lifelong bonds. This idyllic happiness, however, is soon threatened by an abrupt turn of events. Celeste is called away by Mademoiselle, the French mistress, in what appears at first to be an encouraging private exchange. We learn that Celeste's maman mother has recovered fully after a serious illness which had once cast a shadow over Celeste's enjoyment at school. What's more, Mademoiselle breaks the news that Celeste will be returning home to Paris the very next day, not just for the holidays, but for good. The tension in this scene is palpable. Relief and joy for her mother's recovery are quickly layered with shock and sadness at the thought of leaving Malory Towers and her friends behind. Symbolically, this announcement functions as both a literal and a metaphorical crossing of worlds. For Celeste, Malory Towers is a microcosm of British values, customs, and friendships, a world shaped equally by discipline and escapades. Paris and her home life represent not only her roots, but her obligations as a daughter, especially after her mother's illness. The suddenness of Celeste's departure raises questions of agency. Her decisions seem shaped chiefly by adult choices rather than her own wishes, an echo of the era's attitudes toward parental authority. For Jo, whose own home life is quieter and lonelier, having referenced not having a mother, the loss of Celeste is even more personal, sharpening the theme of found family that runs through the series. Jo's response to the news is as impetuous as it is heartfelt. When she learns, indirectly, of Celeste's intended departure, she is clearly upset and scared of losing her new best friend. A scene later, prompted by both self-interest and concern for her friend's happiness, Jo proposes that Celeste express her true feelings and ask to stay. In her youthful innocence, Jo is convinced that passion and honesty will convince Celeste's mother. After all, wasn't Celeste's mother herself once a Malory Towers girl with fond memories of the school? This dialogue reveals Jo's optimistic worldview and her belief in the power of friendship and choice. She clings to the hope that adults can be persuaded by a child's desire, diminishing the significance of parental fears or obligations. However, Celeste is torn. Her loyalty and concern for her recently recovered mother hold her back from daring to disappoint. The dilemmas presented here are expertly layered. Celeste's experience is not just about wanting to stay. It's about reconciling love for her family with love for her friends. She voices the pain and feeling of being caught between two worlds, which is a recurring motif throughout Malory Towers, especially for students whose backgrounds or personal lives pull them away from school. The children's agency, or lack thereof, is vividly illustrated. Malory Towers is a place where students find their voice, but also learn their limits. Simultaneously, another quintessentially Malory Towers subplot plays out, contrasting with but also complementing the emotional drama. Nancy, Jean, June, Felicity, and the others are embroiled in solving the riddle of the stolen, really just missing school time capsule. The capsule, intended to be unearthed by future generations as a symbol of the school's shared heritage and history, has mysteriously disappeared. Not content to let the mystery rest, Nancy proposes wanted thief posters, leading to a flurry of covert printing, pasting, and the breaking of school rules, the sort of joyful, collective excitement the show so often revels in. The use of the school's mimeograph printer by the girls without permission is as much a plot device as it is a symbol of youthful rebellion and the ever-present push and pull between student independence and school authority. The tension builds as Jean is forced to balance her responsibilities and the looming school concert, with her friend's insistent and unauthorized use of school equipment. The strict Mr. Parker, a classic representation of stern schoolmaster authority, discovers the posters and quickly bans the fly posting, warning the girls about following procedure and seeking permission. These elements serve as reminders of the boundaries within which the students operate, but also the rewards and minor chaos that transgressions bring. Throughout, the dialogue is peppered with subtle thematic explorations. The printing and posting of the wanted thief signs serve a dual purpose. On one hand, they represent the children's initiative and collective spirit, the willingness to join forces and mobilize for a cause, even when rules are bent. On the other, the posters, with their call for information and a reward of sweets, expose a playful, almost naive belief in justice and the common good. The transgressive act of using the printer and paper for unofficial business is soon revealed, leading to gentle but firm discipline from Jean and Mr. Parker. The swift change in tone, from excitement to guilt to reconciliation, mirrors the moral lessons frequently embedded in such boarding school tales, where learning from mistakes is as important as academic achievement. Meanwhile, the ongoing confusion about Celeste's departure comes to a head during a crucial telephone call. Jo, in her eagerness to help, intercepts the call intended for Celeste and briskly informs Madame Jubin, in a highly comical yet heartfelt exchange filled with linguistic confusion and enthusiasm, that Celeste wishes to remain at Malory Towers and will stay with Jo for the holidays. The haste and innocence with which Jo handles the situation is both touching and exasperating. As viewers, it's easy to relate to both her well-meaning interference and the chaos it produces. Celeste's mother, blindsided by the news and worried about her daughter's absence, reacts with shock, leading to a frantic follow-up call to the teachers. This scene is a turning point. Mamselle, understanding the mix-up and recognizing her responsibility in the time zone confusion, 2:45 in France versus England, arranges for Celeste to have another chance to speak for herself. The encounter is instructive for all involved. Jo, well-intentioned but intrusive, learns an essential lesson in boundaries and respect for others' decisions. Celeste, for her part, finally articulates her loyalty to her mother, clarifying that though her heart remains with her friends, her duty and love are owed to her family first. In her lines, "I love it here, but of course Maman comes first. She's been so ill. You must understand," Celeste expresses a maturity that underlies the series' balancing act between childlike adventure and grown-up realities. The resulting fallout is emotional, especially for Jo. She confesses her fear of losing Celeste, not only as a friend but as a stand-in for the maternal warmth she craves. The dialogue reveals Jo's vulnerability and her sense of being left behind, underscoring the theme that not all friendships are meant to last unchanged, but their significance endures. The idea that family must sometimes take precedence, even over the deepest of school bonds, is explored delicately and empathetically, never undermining the power of the connections made at Malory Towers. In a parallel conclusion to the time capsule subplot, the mystery finally unravels. Fred, a boy who works in the garden, is cornered after suspicion falls upon him when he delivers a letter written in red ink, the same ink that stains his fingertips. Unable to keep up the ruse, Fred admits he dug up the capsule accidentally while gardening and put it aside, only to find it somewhat misplaced yet again. The revelation is handled with the affectionate exasperation that often marks adult-child relationships at Malory Towers. The girl's frustration is mollified by Fred's sheepish honesty, and the situation is treated as a merry adventure rather than a grave crime. The capsule itself, meant to unify the school across generations, is an apt metaphor for the transmission of values, history, and friendship. Almost lost, rescued through teamwork, and an opportunity for new memories. As the episode draws to a close, the farewells take on a ceremonial tone. Celeste, now preparing to leave, is given a beautiful pen and her friends' addresses so they can become pen pals, a tradition in both real life and fictional boarding schools. One that encapsulates the idea that friendship, while changed by distance, can be sustained by effort and intention. This exchange is symbolic. The pen represents both separation and connection, enabling communication across borders at a time when travel was not as simple as it is today. The final moments of the episode blend joy and sadness with optimism. Celeste promises Joe she may visit Paris one day, and as the girls embrace, Celeste affirms to Joe that she is her Mylar Copine, her best friend. This layered farewell, where goodbye becomes au revoir, until we meet again, softens the pain of parting with the hope of future reunions. It's a small but potent assertion that endings at Malory Towers are rarely final. The bonds made here are remembered and can be revisited, both emotionally and literally, as the students write, meet, and return. The recurring motif of transition in this episode is powerfully entwined with the physical, emotional, and symbolic spaces the girls inhabit. Malory Towers itself is a place of belonging, transformation, and, inevitably, departure. The characters' conversations about home, place, and family reflect the tension young people often feel as they straddle two worlds. Childhood and adulthood, independence and loyalty, new friendships and old commitments. The school, perched on the cliffs, is almost a liminal space, set apart from the everyday world, idealized yet never fully isolated from reality. The episode also subtly reflects historical context. Post-war Britain was a time of rebuilding, openness, and international exchange, all of which inform the inclusive attitude of the school and the multinational makeup of the student body. The ease with which Celeste, a French girl, is integrated and then farewelled with love by her English friends underscores the period's hopes for post-war solidarity and friendship that crosses frontiers. The misunderstandings between languages, while played for comic effect, also signal the challenges of cross-cultural communication, but ultimately result in deeper understanding. Symbolism is abundant throughout. The time capsule serves as a reminder of legacy. What is remembered, lost, and found? It is hidden, misplaced, and then returned, much like friendships which can be transitory yet rediscovered. The pen given to Celeste at her departure is another powerful symbol of adulthood, of keeping in touch, and of writing one's own story, even as life carries friends apart. The act of inviting friends home for the holidays, mirrored in both Joe's and, later, Celeste's offer, captures the openness and warmth encouraged among these students. Foreshadowing, too, is present in the casual talk of holidays and reunions, hinting at the comings and goings that shape the life of a boarding school. The fact that Celeste reiterates, "This is not goodbye," but au revoir signals that what seems like an ending may just be a pause until new adventures draw the friends together again. Furthermore, the episode's resolution of the time capsule and the misused mimeograph printer foreshadow the next generation of mystery and camaraderie. Older students passing down rituals and pranks to younger classes, school traditions surviving despite changes. In terms of hidden meanings, the episode explores the different ways children process change and the importance of honest communication. Joe's attempts to fix things for Celeste underscore how well-meaning intentions can inadvertently make matters more complicated, especially if one doesn't respect the other's wishes. Mamselle's diplomatic handling of the situation with Celeste and her mother reveals the role of adults as mediators and guides rather than dictators. The best teachers in Malory Towers are those who help the girls find their own answers. The characters themselves receive thorough treatment and development throughout. Joe is revealed to be impulsive, loving, and a little naive, but also deeply caring and loyal, even if her actions cross boundaries. Celeste is torn between worlds, loving her newfound English family at Malory Towers, but ultimately recognizing the call of her recovering mother. Jean, the responsible student journalist, embodies the conscientiousness and fairness valued at the school, while her acceptance of her friend's mischief demonstrates forgiveness and understanding. Fred, the hapless gardener, encapsulates the fallibility and good-heartedness of adults at Malory Towers, less an authority figure than a co-conspirator. Plot-wise, the dual storylines of Celeste's departure and the time capsule mystery function in tandem rather than opposition, each highlighting different facets of school life. Emotional journeys set against collective escapades. Both plots converge in their emphasis on cooperation, truth-telling, and mutual support, themes that extend through Blyton's work and its adaptations. Thematically, the episode explores separation, loyalty, forgiveness, and the challenge of growing up. It shows how old and new traditions intertwine at Malory Towers. The sustaining power of letters, the bittersweetness of farewells, and the promise of return. It also probes the idea of home, finding a sense of belonging not just in one's birthplace, but in communities built through friendship and shared experience. Comparisons with other works in the genre, such as the Chalet School or St. Clair's series, reveal commonalities. The focus on cross-cultural camaraderie, the centrality of rules and authority, and the recurrent motif of misrule, pranks, secrets, detective work, as vehicles for growth and bonding. Yet Malory Towers stands out in its willingness to embrace the emotional complexity of saying goodbye, of loving two places and two families at once. In interpreting the ending, the scene with Celeste leaving for Paris while the girls promise to write and plan a summer reunion is both a resolution and an invitation to imagine what comes next. The emphasis on continuity, on staying in touch, on seeing each other again, prevents the ending from feeling final. The phrase au revoir lingers, suggesting that true friendships endure and can be revisited regardless of distance, and that the adventures at Malory Towers, both great and small, belong not only to the past, but to the future as well. Ultimately, Malory Towers' S06E09 is a gentle, richly detailed meditation on the rhythms of school life, skillfully balancing lighthearted capers with deeper emotional truths. It takes seriously the stakes of childhood. Losing a friend can feel like the end of a world, but faith in friendship, honesty, and the courage to say both goodbye and au revoir are the tools the girls learn as they grow. Through the simple but profound acts of writing letters, returning lost treasures, and forgiving mistakes, the episode suggests that all melancholy partings are also beginnings, the next chapter of an enduring story waiting to be written.